I just want to like see some sheep and talk to other people that like yarn. Hey everyone, welcome to episode 47 of the Hilo Stitch podcast. I'm your host Kristen, and I'm here to talk to you about what else? Knitting. I will also be talking about yarn and patterns and other knitting related things, and maybe some not so knitting related things. So if you don't know me already, my name is Kristen Janik. I'm a semi-retired knitting pattern designer and knitting instructor and all-around knitting enthusiast. I am podcasting to you from my home in the Maryland suburbs of Washington, D.C., where I live with my husband, two little boys, JJ, who is 8, Ollie, who is 7, a rambunctious puppy, Thistle, who is 1, and a grumpy old cat, Dory, who is 16, I believe. And when I'm not knitting, you might find me vegetable gardening, baking, reading, drinking wine, but it is mostly about the knitting, so let's go ahead and start talking about it. All right, let's start off with on and off the needles, because I have something off the needles. I have finished my synthesis tank, which was a test knit for Kerri Blumer of Kerri Knits. And I will just go ahead and stand up and show it to you. All right, so let's see if I can back up just a little bit here. All right, so this pattern includes 3 body options. So there's a cropped, fitted, there's a regular length, sort of regular fit, and then the regular length A-line, which is what I have done here. So the way this has worked is in one piece, from center back to center back, and then you do the seam up the back at the very end, and you can sort of leave a little split at the bottom if you like, which is what I did. I knit the size 34. It is recommended to have a little bit of negative ease, I believe, so this does have an inch or 2 of negative ease for me. The only comment I will make about it is that the garter stitch, because you can see, is mostly garter stitch. It does stretch out quite a bit, and in your finished garment, it may stretch out more than in your swatch. So for example, my armholes are quite long, and I'm just wearing like a little lace camisole underneath, which works well for me. It also means this wool, which is a little bit rustic, is not right next to my skin. But if you would like it to have a little bit more coverage, I would definitely keep an eye on your garter stitch. And then also there's an optional trim in the pattern that I did not put on, but I may go back and go ahead and do that because I have plenty of yarn left. So I'll just get a little bit closer. You can see some of the detail here, really cute. I used not even 2 skeins of a finger weight yarn. So this is Mondim from La Bien-Aimée and Rosa Pomar. So this is a 100% Portuguese wool. So it is, it's not a merino. It is a little rough. I probably could wear it right next to the skin, but it's nice to have a little extra layer just in case. So I did not use even a full 2 skeins for the size 34, which I think was the 3rd size in the pattern. So I'm very happy with this, the way this turned out. As I said, the only thing is maybe the armholes are a little longer than ideal, and there is an optional trim in there if you want to add that and just kind of bring those up and in a little bit. So be extra careful when you are doing your swatch and see how much that garter stitch grows. It's a really cute pattern, really well written, lots of schematics and diagrams to kind of show you what you're knitting when, because as I said, it is knit in one piece, so you're just working flat up to the armholes, and then you're putting various sections of the stitches on hold to work the front, the back, and the back up to the shoulders. Then you just join those with a 3 needle bind off, and as I said, seam right up the back. Just that one seam, and that is it. And then if you do not add that armhole trim, you're just done. There's no extra finishing going on. So definitely check that out. I will include a link in the show notes. And link to the show notes will be included in the description box below so that you can check them out after you have watched the episode. But again, this is the synthesis tank from Kerri Blumer of Kerri Knits. And that is the only thing I have finished. But I've made some progress and may have started a few more projects. So let's just take a peek. I did start sort of this nameless shawl. I'm not using a pattern for this. You'll recall a couple episodes back, I purchased 2 skeins of Brooklyn Tweed's new wool tones and wasn't really sure what I was going to do with it, but I thought it'd make a really nice brioche project. So this is just sort of a basic 2-color brioche. It's going to be a shawl. It's knit from this corner, and I'm working kind of a little bit of kind of an I-cord along the edge so that it really is completely reversible. So this is what I would call the front side, where that darker purple is the dominant color, and then this is the back side where the pink is, but it's kind of got this I-cord edging. So it is completely reversible so far, and that is my plan for it. I still have plenty of the 2 colors left. Probably not enough for a full shawl though, so what I plan to do is that I have a skein of Brooklyn Tweed Shelter left over from a different project. Just grab it real quick. Alright, so I have this skein of Brooklyn Tweed Shelter left, which I think goes kind of right along with these colors. So I'm going to do, once I run out of these 2 colors, I think I'm going to do some kind of other reversible stitch pattern on sort of the far end of this shawl. So as I said, I'm not using a pattern. It's just a basic 2-color brioche with 1 increase worked on the right side, and it's a really simple increase for brioche. It's just a knit 1, yarn over, knit 1 into the same stitch. So if you're not familiar with brioche stitches beyond the regular knit and purl, that's just a really simple increase. Brioche decreases can get a little fiddly, but the increase is pretty simple. Usually it's either knit 1, yarn over, knit 1 into 1 stitch, or knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, knit 1 into 1 stitch. The thing is that because you're working it every other right side row with usually your dominant color, you need to increase 2 stitches so that you maintain the stitch pattern, and because you're doing it every other right side row. So this is what it looks like so far. I don't know what's going to become of it. It's once you kind of get into the brioche rhythm, it's a pretty mindless knit, and so I don't really have any plans to make it into a pattern, but I guess maybe if it gets some interest, I might do that. But like I said, at this point, I'm just doing the brioche, and then I'm going to do something or other at the other end of the shawl with this extra color. I don't know. Maybe just something really simple like garter stitch stripes. Start working this in, or something like that, because I do want it to be reversible. And that is, a DK weight, or is it a worsted weight? I can't remember if the tones is supposedly DK or worsted, but this is a worsted, but it's kind of a light worsted, so we'll see. I don't know what's going to become of that. Other than that, what have I been working on? Since it is fall now, I got my fall project bag, and I have just been doing a few rows here and there on my Andawa. So this is a pullover pattern by Michelle Wang. It was published by Brooklyn Tweed, and I really have not made it too far. So this is really just kind of the first section of the front, and I am not moving that quickly, but I'm really not working on it that often. And the other problem is, not a problem, but I guess challenge, is that this charted pattern, and there's 2 of these in this section, it's not super easy to memorize, and it also, you have to work the wrong side, like the wrong side rows aren't just knit things as they appear. You actually have to pay attention to the wrong side rows to get it right. So it's a little bit more labor intensive that way, but a few rows here and there. And I love this so far. This yarn is Magpie Fibers Domestic Worsted, which unfortunately is now discontinued. But I don't think the colorway is discontinued, and the colorway is called Norwegian Wood, and it's just this lovely deep green that I think is going to be really stunning on this. So that is part of my Make 9 2021, but we're now into October, and I have quite a lot of projects on that list that are not done, so that may be stretching into 2022. We shall see. And then I have actually started another project. So this is actually a test knit for Making Magazine. Wrong bag. Test knit for Making Magazine. And so I signed up to be on their list of test knitters, and they sent out the call for, I guess, an upcoming issue. And it was basically like, rank the 3 projects that you would like to test knit. And there's really only one that I really was like actively interested in test knitting, but I ranked, I guess, 3, and I didn't actually get to test knit the one I wanted. So I am test knitting, I guess, what is my second choice, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, it's a big project that I don't know if is really my style, but it doesn't look like much so far, but this is at some point going to be a great big kind of, I don't know what you call this, like a square kind of shawl almost. So it wraps all the way around with just this opening in the front. And if you look close up, you can see perhaps that it's all kinds of fluffy. So this is using a lace weight alpaca and then a silk mohair lace weight held together. I did not use the yarns called for in the pattern. It was just the total for like kind of the main part of the shawl with the main colors was something like 1,400 yards, and it was too pricey. Although, to be honest, what I ended up using still really kind of added up. This is not going to be a cheap project. But what I'm using is Knit Picks. So I'm using their lace weight alpaca, and I don't remember what it's called. And I bought, I think, 4 skeins and just kind of wound 3 of them together. So this is sort of a very, very pale heathered kind of pink, a warm pink. And then for the main color, silk mohair, I'm using this kind of silvery white. So they blend together nicely here, giving me a kind of a warm gray. And then the project does use contrast colors, which is why it was rather pricey to buy all that you need. So these are my contrast colors. Again, these are the Knit Picks Aloft, which is pretty sure it's the kind of normal, yeah, 72% mohair, 28% silk. So I'll turn this one over so you can, there you go. So we got like a purple, this sort of peppery, black and white, and then this really deep navy and black. So I think it's going to be really cute when it's done, but I am way behind, and I really need to be focused on that. And it's not super complicated right now. It's just kind of garter stitch with increases every so often, and then there's it's going to transition into a kind of garter stitch feather and fan, and then there's going to be these contrast stripes, which I think, as I recall, have some bobbles. So nothing super complicated, just using sort of these very fine yarns on, I think this is US 5, fluffing at me. It's just not particularly speedy, and it does end up being a rather generous shawl. As I said, lots of yardage, and I'm supposed to have it done by the end of the month, so I really better get started on that. Other than that, I have not started anything new, and I really have not made much progress on my Ridgeview tee, which is the other project that I'm working on for my Make 9. So again, it's just something I'm occasionally putting, a few rows on here and there. And I guess that is about it for on and off the needles in this episode. All right, for Adelante, I am still just plugging away on this side-to-side pullover. I do have, let's see, I guess maybe almost half of the back done now. So again, this is being worked from cuff to cuff, and we'll go across the body, and then we'll pick up a hem down here. And it has a big cable up the sleeve, and yeah, I am just kind of plugging away at this. It is, I think it'll get a little more interesting again when I get to the opposite sleeve, but since the back is worked, crud. Oh no, that's fine. Since the back is worked just like the front, minus some neck shaping, it's just a little bit repetitive at this point. So I'm trying to work on this whenever I am watching Jane the Virgin, which I'm watching for like the 3rd or 4th time. But it is, I still think it's going to be on track to be published later this month, but I really have not made much progress there. Incidentally, this needs to be tech edited. So my previous tech editor, who was brilliant, has transitioned from tech editing to teaching about tech editing. So she's not actually tech editing patterns anymore, and I need a new tech editor. So if you are watching this and you are a tech editor and you think you would like to tackle tech editing this pattern, which is graded to, I believe, 10 sizes, obviously has a unique construction, leave a comment, let me know. Seeking tech editor. So that is the major project that I am working on. I don't have anything else in the works yet. I am still planning to do a sound side cardigan and to republish an old sweater pattern that never got published. Both of those things are going to be in 2022. And again, maybe something will come of that brioche shawl, but who knows. If you are interested in the brioche shawl, again, leave a comment and let me know that you'd like to see it become a pattern. But I am having a big pattern sale this month. I guess I should put this in news and events, but oh well. This month is my birthday. It is my favorite month of the year. We've got Halloween, we've got all the fall stuff, so I'm having a big buy one get one free pattern sale. All of my indie patterns are included, and you just need to use the code FALLBOGO, BOGO, at checkout on Ravelry. So add any 2 of the patterns, and then add the coupon code, and you will get one of them for free. I also have my patterns available on PayHip, but they don't support the buy one get one coupon code. So if you're not able to use Ravelry and you'd like to shop on PayHip instead, you can contact me directly and we can work something out about that. So that is going to be going on all throughout the month of October. All of my indie knitting patterns, buy one, get one free, to celebrate my favorite month of the year and my birthday. All right, I have kind of a quick pattern drop here. The Summit pullover that was published in the fall 2020 issue of Interweave Knits has been re-released as an indie pattern. I'm now calling it the Lindísima pullover. This is a top-down colorwork yoke pullover. I'll go ahead and pop a photo in here. So this was originally published in the magazine. Now it is available as an indie pattern. And all, well, not all, but many of my sweater patterns include a free sweater planner. So I have updated this pattern to include a free sweater planner, which kind of walks you through how to pick the right yarn, how to choose your ideal size, and then how to swatch for the project. So they are actually, if you purchase the pattern, they are 2 separate downloads, because otherwise you end up with one very large file and not everybody wants all that information. But make sure you look, and if you do want the sweater planner, go ahead and download that as well. So this pattern is included in the buy one get one free sale that I just talked about in the last segment. The pattern includes 8 sizes, I believe. It is worked from the top down. It is worked in Jamieson's Shetland Spindrift, which is sort of the holy grail of colorwork yarns. It is a fingering weight yarn that is very rustic, so it's nice and sticky if for some reason, not for this project, for another project, you might be steeking. It comes in lots and lots of colors, so you can get sort of your perfect palette, and it's, you know, it's really easy to kind of play around with all those colors and just go a hint lighter or a hint darker on whatever color you're working with. Of course, you could use something else as well, and I do go through some tips for picking out your yarn in the sweater planner. Jamieson's Shetland Spindrift is pretty economically priced, but I know it's not easy always to source, especially here in the US. So that is available as an indie pattern now. I hope you will go check it out. I am, of course, still sewing, as that is my new thing. So if you're not interested in sewing, you can go ahead and pop along to the next segment. I don't think I have finished anything since the last episode, because I was kind of going through this design your wardrobe thing with seam work to sort of narrow down what I wanted to be working on for the fall and winter. So I've completed that now, and have picked out, I believe, 6 projects to be working on between now and kind of the end of the year. So I'll show you the first one, which is in progress. All right, so it is a skirt. Back my chair up again here. So this is the first time I've done a skirt. I know you can't really tell much from here. So this is obviously the front of the skirt. It has these cute pockets that I have sewn on. And it will at some point have a waist tie, and then goes around to the back, and the back pieces will kind of overlap a little bit. So I am knitting this in this really pretty herringbone flannel. So if you can see this sort of black and blue herringbone pattern close up. Really pretty, and also just kind of just that little bit of patterning, but a color that kind of goes with everything. So I have like the main body of the skirt done. And then the next thing is to do the waistband. I have not done a waistband before, so that will be an adventure. So this is the waist band that goes, you know, around, and then these at the end are the ties. And the waistband has an elastic in it, which I have also not done before. So I have lots of new things going on with this project. So far I have not sewn anything on backwards or upside down. I have not had to rip out any seams, although the top stitching on one of the pockets is a little wonky, but I made sure to use a thread that kind of blends in because I am not an expert stitcher. I think it would look really cute with kind of a contrast color top stitching, but I am definitely not skilled enough at sewing to tackle that yet. So that is the first of the 6 projects that I am planning on. I am also planning a kind of a corduroy jumper pinafore dress thing, another dress, well, the pinafore thing is going to be in a corduroy, another dress, trying to remember everything I picked out, pair of pants, my first pair of pants, skirts, there should be 2 more things. I think there's a top of some kind, a shirt, and I think there was one more thing. All right, some overalls. I'm looking at my project plan, some overalls. So those are the 6 projects that I have planned out up until the end of the year. Of course, might add some other things. My sister decided that she wants, I showed you guys my envelope, was it envelope dress? I think that's right. Parasol dress that I finished a couple of weeks ago in the kind of Halloween, slightly spooky fabric, which is mostly kind of fall florals, but with some spider webs. My sister wants one too. She thinks we should wear matching ones to go pumpkin picking. I'm not really sold on that part of the equation yet, but it's a really simple, kind of straightforward pattern. It's just some squares kind of sewn together. So I said I would make her one of those. I guess I should, you know, it's already October 6th. I should probably get going on that. So that, yeah, so this, I have the skirt, my first pair of pants, which I have some velveteen fabric for. The only project I think that I don't have fabric for are the overalls, just because they use more fabric than, like, if I'm just kind of buying fabric and thinking, you know, maybe this will be a shirt or a skirt or something, I usually buy, you know, 2 or 3 yards. The overalls actually need almost like 3.5, almost 4 yards. So I don't have that. I do have, so this is the fabric for the little pinafore thing. And then I've got a dress and a top, and I have fabrics for both of those, and I could show them to you, but then I would have to pull them out, and I don't know how interested you guys are in seeing fabric, but if you are interested, I will start showing off more fabric in the future. So I am really excited for those, and also kind of excited to have a plan ahead of me and not just kind of be grabbing. You know, they do recommend that you kind of leave some space in your, you know, sewing schedule for some wild cards, but it's helpful to have a plan, so I'm not just kind of floundering, which means I'll be likely to get distracted and stop sewing. The other thing I wanted to show you, the other sewing project that I have kind of done is not so much making, but in adjusting, what's it called? What's the word I want? Reimagining? Anyway, so I have this really cute corduroy skirt that I bought a couple years ago, thrifted, and it was just a really unflattering length on me. It just came down kind of right at the knees, just like maybe right below, and I have like long legs and long arms and a very short torso. So if a skirt covers all of my legs or most of my legs, It just is not very flattering for me. So I've just kind of been ignoring it, but now that I have some sewing skills, I went ahead and shortened it. So to do that, I cut off about 3 inches at the bottom, maybe 2. And that included one of these buttons. So I took the button off, cut those inches off, refolded the hem, which is about a 1-inch hem, and then into the new hem, I folded up the buttonhole that was, I guess, around here. So that was then folded under into the hem. And now it is a very cute length that works a lot better for me. So, gotta back up some more. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that I showed this skirt off in a reel recently, and you can see that it is a much nicer length for me, even though I can't quite show you on camera because it doesn't fit. And if you don't follow me on Instagram, you can find me there as @MediaPeruana, and then you can check out that reel. So this was not a huge project, but I did have to, you know, change my needle from a regular all-purpose needle to a slightly heavier weight needle for this. And sort of just measuring the hem, making sure everything stayed the same length. Again, I was very careful to use a thread that blended in, but I mean, the stitching is pretty nice. I still think I did a pretty good job on that. So I'm really happy with this project now, and definitely hoping to do some more adjustments like this to other things in my wardrobe that I don't wear as much as I might because something is maybe a little off about them. So more on that in the future. Right, Chatterbox. I don't know that I've been up to too much to talk about, but we'll see. You might notice I'm looking a little tan for October, so I can't remember if I mentioned it in the last episode or not, but my sister had rented a house at the beach for herself for a weekend, and then bought a house and was not able to go on that weekend anymore. But the reservation was non-refundable, so she just told my dad and I, you guys go ahead and take it. I had no interest in being at the beach in October. Beach is, you know, summer is over, beach time is over. It's October. I want to pumpkin picking and apple picking and drinking pumpkin beer and wearing sweaters. I don't want to be at the beach, but my dad wanted to go and I didn't want him to have to be there by himself. So I just sucked it up and went along. So I drove down this past Friday to Ocean City, Maryland. I don't know why I say down. It's not down, it's east. Out to Ocean City, Maryland, which is, it was a lot of fun when I was a teenager. But as an adult, and especially an adult with kids, it's crowded, it's loud, it's not really all that relaxing. But I went without my kids. The place that my sister had rented is probably great for broke college kids, but for 2 adults, it was not great. I guess I'm a planning kind of person, so when my sister sent me the link for this place, I read all of the reviews and they were all pretty terrible. I guess she did not do any of that. It was really tiny, so it had sort of a very small living room, a really tiny kitchen, a bathroom that was about the size of a closet with a shower that was about the size of a phone booth, and then 2 very small bedrooms, and the bedroom that I was in had a door with glass panes. So I guess the people that own this place don't care about privacy, but I was on this trip with my dad. You know, I would like some privacy to change my clothes. I can't go into my bedroom. I can barely go into the bathroom because there's really not room in there for changing either. It's like sink, shower, toilet, this tiny little square of space to stand up in. It was relatively clean, but just not like super well maintained. It was next to a liquor store. And it was right on the main road. So anyway, I got there on Friday afternoon, went out to lunch with my dad, walked around on the boardwalk. We went out to dinner at, I guess, a place that my mom, when we were kids, we didn't have money to go on vacation. So my parents and I, didn't as a family ever really go down to the beach together. But once, the kids had moved out, my parents, I guess, had a little bit more disposable income and had started going on their own for a week. And, occasionally we would hop down there for a day or two just to say hi. So apparently we went to this one restaurant that my mom really used to like, but it's a completely different restaurant now. And we did go to my favorite place, which is called the Bayside Skillet, which has crepes that are delicious. We did go there for breakfast on Saturday morning. And then Saturday night for dinner, we went to this other restaurant that my mom really liked that had like a 45-minute wait just for the two of us. And that's another reason I don't really like Ocean City with kids. It's mostly hotels. It's not really set up kind of like the Outer Banks where you rent a house and you have some space. It's much more cramped, and it's not really set up so that you can kind of like go grocery shopping and cook a meal at home. You basically have to go out to restaurants to eat, and none of the restaurants take reservations. Everything's first come, first serve, which is not very practical with kids to be like, yeah, we have to wait here for 30, 40, 50 minutes just to sit down. But Saturday during the day, for a couple of hours, it was sunny enough at the beach, and the wind was low enough that I could sit out in the sun for about 2 hours. And I didn't bring any sunscreen because it's fall. So I got a little bit of a tan is where I was going with this. Yeah, I was out there probably for about 2 hours until the wind started picking up again, and some low, like not totally cloudy, but some clouds started passing by, and just with the wind and the clouds, it really gets chilly on the beach. So that was about it. And I drove back on Sunday and was home by 12:30, and I have no plans to do that again. I just don't want to be at the beach in October, especially not Ocean City, Maryland. But it's fine. So that happened, and now it is done. And I got a little bit of knitting done while I was there. And now I can focus on it being October and my favorite month of the year. We've got pumpkin picking coming up, and we'll be going out for my birthday. It's also our wedding anniversary a little bit later in October. Sweater weather is still not really here yet, though. We've had a couple of cool days in the upper 60s, and knock on wood, we haven't had any 90-degree days in a while, but we are still mostly in the mid to upper 70s with some days in the low 80s. So that is kind of a bummer. 2 weekends ago, I guess I went out for sort of a girls' day out with a couple of friends of mine. We went up to a brewery in Baltimore, and I wore my synthesis tank just like this, and I was cold. It was just a really breezy day, and we were sitting in the shade, and I was kind of sad that I didn't have a real sweater. So I think the sweater weather is coming, but it has not quite made it here yet. Other than that, I will not be going to Rhinebeck this year. The kids still not being vaccinated, and it just, I know it gets very crowded. I also know that they're going to try to put in some limits to make sure that doesn't happen, but then, you know, it's a 5-hour drive plus renting an Airbnb for the weekend is pricey. And then to maybe, you know, not get the full scope of activities. I think it's just better to wait. So I'm really sad about that because we have now missed, I will now have missed 2 Maryland sheep and wools and 2 Rhinebecks since the start of the pandemic. And I just want to like see some sheep and talk to other people that like yarn, but it's just not happening this year. So I am sad about that, and I'm gonna be really sad and probably regretting my decision when I see people's photos. But you know, we are trying to just keep safe, and that kind of big event is just a big question mark for the kids. So I think once kids are able to get vaccinated, maybe something like that will be in the cards again. But I'm really sad about that. So if you are also not going to Rhinebeck, please comment down below and commiserate with me about how sad you are about that. Or if you are in the Maryland area and would like to organize some kind of small outdoor gathering on Rhinebeck, although Rhinebeck weekend is also my birthday weekend. But I would love to do something, a meetup or something with some other Marylanders who want to talk about yarn and knitting in an outdoor setting where it's nice and safe. Really missing those fiber events. I hope we can get back to them soon. Other than that, I think that is about all that has been going on around here. Lots of knitting and sewing. The kids are back in school. Ollie had what was supposed to be 1 sick day last week, and it was just his brother caught a cold, and he caught the same cold. We knew it wasn't COVID, and he really could go to school, but as I mentioned in previous podcasts, he hates school. So for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of last week, he was miserable. Like I had to pick him up and carry him into school. And he spends the whole day being a butt to his teachers, and that's sort of another story. But the point being that by the time Thursday came and he had, you know, a little cough, I was like, you know what, just let's stay home and let's regroup. It's been a hard week. So we did that, but then we got an email from the school saying, well, he can't come back until he has a negative COVID test. This was like Thursday evening, so obviously he wasn't going to have it by Friday. So he ended up with 2 sick days. And of course, we went and got the COVID test, and he did not have COVID, which I understand they want to be very cautious. But at the same time, I hate, not that he's learning much anyway, because he hates school. It's, I think I mentioned previously, there's a little kid in his class who does that kind of loud shriek screaming that it even hurts my ears, and he hates that. So this week, she wasn't at school yesterday or today, and he went right in, no problems. So I need to send an email to his school. There's not really much they can do about it. This other child also has every right to be in the classroom, but maybe if I let them know, they can figure out some ideas on their end to make things go more smoothly for him. All right, that is enough chattering on my part, I think. Thank you so much for joining me for episode 47 of the Hilo Stitch podcast. You can find show notes with links to everything that I've talked about at mediaperuana.com/Hilo-Stitch. Special thank you to my Patreon patrons who help keep this podcast and the Media Peruana Knits YouTube channel up and running. So if you would like to get perks and freebies and sneak peeks and behind the scenes goodies, you can check that out at patreon.com/mediaperuana. Here on YouTube, if you could please like, subscribe, share, comment, all of those things that help expand the reach of the channel. Would love for my birthday to hit that big 1000 follower count, and we're getting close. So please do subscribe if you enjoy the content that I am sharing here. Speaking of content, I will include a little doohickey to my latest tutorial on how to fix a dropped stitch, or how to drop a stitch intentionally to fix an incorrect stitch. If you are looking for me on social media, you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Media Peruana, and I will see you next time.